Welcome to
Shalom.
Peace Within the Journey of Forgiveness. I have Pastor Carlos and
Peace.
First Lady Johnson.
Man, man.
I just want to thank you guys for accepting the invitation. I really appreciate this.
We're glad to be invited, sis. Seriously, this is what's up.
Okay, so this what's up. I want to play a little miniature game. So I'm gonna go with First Lady first. So
Okay.
From the spot.
so when you met Pastor, what was your first thought?
Honestly, I hope this guy is really wanting to get himself together because I don't feel like all this trying to run around to help him figure out how to put things together in his life, honestly. Because I wasn't sure based on how we met.
Good answer.
Okay. So how long you guys been married?
We've been married 2 years.
Okay.
We've been together
January.
3 years. Yeah. Okay. So we've been together. This is the story. We got married 7 months after we were together.
Okay.
Okay. And so we've been together 3 and married about, I guess, two
2 years and 9 months.
and 9 months. Yeah.
Right. I was with you first lady. I'm with you. So now from having that thought when you first met him, what's your next thought about Carlos now being married?
He is nothing like I thought he was when he was in arm's distance,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Um,
Because
if it
when I
don't,
met
if it
him,
don't make sense for someone else, give us some elaboration.
so the way I met Carlos was why you do this? I don't like our story the way we met, honestly. It's not that I don't like it, I guess from a professional standpoint,
Okay.
ethically, the
Yeah.
lines were blurred.
Yeah.
But all things considered, they kind of weren't blurred, but it's just the way we met because I
Okay.
was his case manager. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Hence why I say, oh goodness, I hope this guy really wants to get himself together because I don't feel like chasing anybody around. You know what I mean? I
Thank
just did it. And now that he's closer than an arm's reach, I
Okay.
say that he's a lot. He is my honey. He is my
Amen.
he.
Amen. Okay, so Carlos, what was your first thought when you met First Lady?
um, my first thought about her, I wanted to know if she was real. Like, I'm serious. I want to know if she was real, like she was a real person, because when you're dealing with people, especially in positions to do for us, you got that question in your mind whether or not that person is for the people or they just for themselves. And so she had a keychain and that said, "I love Jesus." And so, some people, they get uncomfortable at work when they talk about their faith. So that's fake people though, because me, I talk about Jesus anywhere I'm at. Actually, my work is Jesus. Everything else is just a follow up. So I wanted to know if she was real. So I asked her, "Is that true? Do she really love Jesus?" And she told me, she said, "You better know it. Shoot, that's my daddy." And I could tell she was a child of God, by her excitement, how she started bubbling. And my first thought was, yeah, she's a real one.
Okay,
Man.
so now as y'all transition into marriage, what's your next thought of First Lady?
In marriage,
Yeah, I think yeah.
she was nothing like she was in dating. She was the perfect, I'm talking about perfection. Mwah. Like, you ever see a meal and it ain't missing nothing? You like, I don't need no salt or no pepper, no nothing. Yo, seriously, she played her role. Then when we got married, oh, she said, "Oh, I do, but I don't do none of that stuff I was doing before." She said, listen, I got you now. You ain't going nowhere." So it was a transition of getting her back to what she told me and showed me. So she just wanted, she had to learn that the commitment, I think, and this is, I can't speak for her, but I think she learned that the commitment is just as important as catching them. You know, you got to keep it up.
That's good. That's good to say.
Am I right?
That's good to say.
Amen.
I learned that though, and I learned that about her, and then I learned it about myself too, because you know, I ain't gonna hold you. I think that I was downplaying things with her at first because, like, you know how sometimes women, I'm not just saying women, people, period. You know, they see things shiny and glittery, and then they just be like, oh yeah, that's what I want, but they ain't ready for it. You know, so I wasn't really trying to like make myself seem like Superman or the best candidate. I just wanted to see where she was at first. So she told me a lot after marriage.
You had to get to the core.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
The
pretty
root,
much.
the root.
Amen.
So, sitting here now, First Lady did say, she felt that it was a little unethical. She don't like the beginning of her story. So how can we say that it's not your marriage not ending, but how you feel now, even though you took a leap of faith, even though meeting someone wasn't in the ideal eyes of someone, how will you feel about to express to us about your leap of faith? Because you could have said, you know what, no, no, but you said yes.
Yeah, amen. Amen. And so when I look at the process, right, I realize that because God is so unconventional, he can do however he wants to do. He knew my heart's desire was to be connected to a man. I say that because I would have to give you the full story before I can go into this part where you'll get the full meaning of what I'm saying. And um, so for 20 years, a long time, I lived my life like a man. I wanted to be a man. I stood up to pee, totally disconnected from the Eve that lived inside of me because of past hurts, decisions, all of that. And when he told you that what I looked like as a professional versus what I looked like when he even brought me in closer was not what he expected. That's why he said that, because I came with some luggage. We don't arrive. I haven't. So I told you, if I told you that I lived my life like a man, that means that I had some man issues, right? Because
how you gonna submit to somebody when
right?
You know what I mean? Yeah,
when
that was a big thing for her.
When you want to be them, you understand? And so seeing it now, how it all unfolded, it had to happen that way because it wouldn't have. And I think I said to him, because it was a season, my mother got sick. She had a stroke. I had to leave the job where I met him at. He was already he was engaged. He was in a relationship with another woman, but he did say to me, oh yeah, he did say to me, listen, I can't do this because I want to do it right. And I don't know if what I want to do is right with you or if it's right with the woman that I'm with. So let me get through this. If it works, then it works with her. If it doesn't, then then if I see you, we'll see each other. And God's will.
She won't feel that though.
I wasn't feeling that. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't, because I said no. Because again, you got to think about what I come from. I come from. I had a pimp that took me all over the world from 12 to 17. I was it's known today as trafficking. Back then, it was white slavery. You know what I mean? I come from addiction. You know what I mean? I come from men who just take advantage and abuse women. So my entire understanding perspective of a man was totally distorted, and because of that distortion was why I said I'm never going to let anyone hurt me again. I'm never going to let another man hurt me again. That won't happen. And so when I had my brother who was the demonstration of how I knew a man should treat a girl, but he would treat, that's for them, not for me. So as a resentment, I built resent. As a result, I had resentments for years against men. How can you have resentments against men when you have 5 boys? I have 7 children, 5 sons and 2 girls. And I'm talking about the self-hatred that went deep. You understand? And I didn't understand none of it. But now looking back, I see that I had to go through all that. I had to go through having the relationship with the pastor, messing up the church, and because I wouldn't have known what I wanted. Because I told you I lived my life like a man. I thought I was with women. That's all I did, you know. So if that makes sense, does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So her first impression, I guess, to answer the question, I think
I thought I answered it.
did she do a good job?
Did I answer the question?
We can get your perspective as well.
I believe, like, yeah, it was a culture shock for her when she took the chance with me, because it wasn't just anybody taking a chance with anybody. She had a past too. So it was like, when she was jumping out there with a man, you know, and with a man that already shown you that he's willing to cheat, even if it's for you, you know what I mean? Like, do I really want to take a chance with this guy? She was kind of, you know, but I think the situation with her mother at that time, you know, rest in peace, man. Her mother was in need of her help more than her job. You know, so she left the job before we can even get where I can even get the benefits from what we were doing as far as on the job, you know. So I actually we kept in contact just on friendship, you know. We were like, I would go and be supportive. She actually took me to see her mom, and her mom, oh my God, when we met each other, it was great, because honestly, her mom wasn't even responding to people at the time.
At all.
She wasn't talking to nobody. And when I come in there, I touch her, and she pick her head up and just start talking to me. You know what I'm saying? And she won't talking to the doctors and nobody. You know, she was in a nursing home. You know, and and then they released her to her custody, and that's when like I came and actually started helping taking care of her mom. You know, when we got together, as soon as we got together, so our relationship, I think. It was more than a chance with us. It was necessity meets, you know, like answer. So it's like I was kind of a answer to a question, and it make things a little easier. So was that a good answer?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because I think that's what she was going through, like from that. Like I think so.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? To in all transparency, I thought that I was losing my mind, because I remember him. No, I'm being serious, because I had never felt these emotions for a man. That, you understand? Because my philosophy was, oh, men can't, you know, they don't know how to be emotionally intimate. They don't know how, you understand? So I wasn't willing to even embark on that. And then when I did, it was the wrong man. It wasn't for me.
Oh, yeah.
You understand?
Oh,
so
yeah.
that also played a part in
Yeah,
which added on to the betrayal of men. So here comes this, you know what I mean? This young man, and I'm looking at him, but I'm not looking at him like that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It's deep, because I got to add this. I took her from a dude. Like, she was with this guy, man. This dude, he's really I'm not gonna mention him, but like he was trying to bring her back into her old lifestyle.
Yes.
And I know her as a woman of God. I didn't worship with her already. I know that she is trying. Yes, that was our second date. The first date was Bro to Go, right?
Oh yeah.
So
second date was church. It was a revival.
Picture on the wall. Yes. But and the thing was though, like the guy, she was like, when me and her separated, like I told her, look, we're gonna dead this, you know, I'm with somebody else. And then when the relationship with me and the girl went south, it was already south. It was just once she got out of the picture, it wasn't no excitement there to kind of distract me from how bad things were, you know. But like, so I broke it off with her, and then, you know, I was checking on my old friend, and she like, yeah, I'm with this guy, and I'm thinking about bringing somebody else into the party. And I know you're a woman of God. So it's like, what is you doing? Like, no. If this guy loves you, he knows what you've been through, and he shouldn't want to trigger none of that, you know? No. And so Yeah, from then on, it was like, no, forget dude. And she
Yeah.
forgot dude too.
Yeah.
She was out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. That is, to me, that's beautiful because he came in your life in a way where you allow him to chip off the layers. You know,
Mm.
you was
Good,
open
good.
and you
I
brought him
like
to church. You know, you brought him to church.
mm.
And sometimes we are like magnets to that old way, but it's good that you detach yourself from that negative and allow this positive energy come into you. And you have to, and it was good because you know how some men can be overbearing. Like I didn't see, express that Carlos was very overbearing. He was, to the point, like, no, your foundation is God. How can you go to this guy and he's pulling you away from God? I
Mm-hmm.
am who you need to be because I'm going to help you elevate in your God, even though we're working on our triggers, even though we're working on being better. You know what I'm saying? We don't
Mm-hmm.
know nobody is 100%. Every day is a day
Yes.
of walking and getting better in our Christ walk. And it's so good how God can build us or put someone together to elevate us in that way of our walk in Christ. And that's what I
Yes.
see, which I express about
Yeah.
the beginning and continuing to learn each other in your relation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what was easy for me to fall in love with this woman? Um, Her personality. She, being that she understands the mentality of guys, she was like my homie first, you know. And I kind of felt bad for her, like, yo, how you not really like have the experience of really, like a really a real man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, like these dudes out here, they will make women hate guys, like
Mm-hmm.
really hate the male sex, you know? And I really can look at a lot of these fools and be like, I see why women are really looking to be with other women as opposed to some of these Neanderthals, you know? See, because these cavemen, they got to stop beating on their chest and thinking that like I can force people to do what I want them to do as opposed to just collaborating with people and partnering up, you know? And so with her, it was kind of like a challenge for me because I'm like, I'm going to make all of those things that she had in her mind disappear.
Mm-hmm.
All of those negative things that happened to her with men and experiences. And I love seeing her face when like I blow her mind sometimes because she be hell bent on thinking, oh yeah, this is definitely gonna be the time where he's gonna prove what I thought was right, you know? And I'm like, yeah, watch, because it's a challenge for me to show her that we exist,
Mm.
you know? So my friend, is also my challenge, So it's like I want her to know that like we're in this forever, And so like as far as her life experience, she can always say, "Oh yeah, I can check that off. I've had a man, not no boy, not no slick dog. No, I had a man in my life. Now, what she do with that, that's on her. But I'm praying that she can respect what it is and say, all right, well, that's where we're gonna go. I'm gonna be his woman by the definition of, you know.
Yeah, I see her lighting up over there. She glowing.
Yes.
I see, I
She
see
loves me, man. I
the
love her.
I see the genuine love. That's good because a lot of us women have been through so much. It's hard for us to even open up to someone that's good and allow our femininity to come out.
Yes.
We really want our femininity to come out, but
Yes.
we're not gonna give it to you easy, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to understand that with First Lady is it is so good to see that these Invisaligns is rocking my mouth. You hear me?
You're fine.
They let
They
her
look
go.
nice.
You know,
They
but
look
it's
nice.
but yeah, it's you can see the genuine, and it's an honor to even see it and talk to you guys about it because some women and some men, and we're gonna put men into it because it's not just a woman thing,
Yeah.
but some men and women we get afraid, and this is good to see that you didn't let fear
Mm-hmm.
to take you from your faith walk, because when you're becoming in a relationship, it's a faith walk. A lot of people don't put in it faith without ceasing. Faith is about this uncertainty of what we're doing when we're becoming one,
Yes.
and God designed us to be together. God did not design for a woman to be a man. God did not design a man to be a woman. So for you to allow God to use Carlos to break what wasn't supposed to be in your life is a testament. So I appreciate that.
That's
Amen.
deep. That's deep.
Yes, that was deep.
When she was mentioning that, like I was thinking about that. How necessary that is with us. To move forward, because God designed us not to be alone. It's not fit for us to be alone. Either way, but we, in our disobedience and our selfishness, we tend to put other needs before God's will. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, at the end of the day, man, like I feel blessed, like to have found someone who's willing, like you said, to take that leap of faith, because it does take faith. And like I was just thinking when you said it, that like anxiety, like what I do, like business seminars with like a lot of the clients that I deal with and stuff like that, and I do a little segment where I ask them what they're afraid of, because a lot of times we allow what we're afraid of to keep us from getting to where we're going. It stagnates us, even in our relationships, anxiety of what happened in the past or what possibly could happen in the future. We hearing about all the horror stories that your friends tell you, and we allow that anxiety to keep us from taking the chances that maybe can change our lives. So that man, we got to figure out like how to turn anxiety into anticipation. I look forward to finding a woman that I can love. Like, so I think that the hope of having a person in my life was stronger than the fear of somebody hurting me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because I wanted somebody more than I wanted to,
stay in the fear.
Yeah, to stay in that fear. I think that's what we all have to do.
Yeah.
We all have to do. So my thing is about the peace within the journey of forgiveness. The journey is also self-work, and the journey is also work together. In your marriage, how forgiveness play a part in your marriage?
Yes, good.
Well, it definitely plays a part, I'll tell you. It has to, otherwise we still would not be here. My husband always says to me when we're having a disagreement, how can the two walk together lest they agree, right? And so I have learned over, and it didn't take me long to learn it, to be totally honest. Seriously, just because of how he is. Like when he says something, I know when he means it or when he's joking or when he's, and you talked about not arriving, growing together. And so I had some relationship goals for us. And then I also had relationship goals for myself. And one of the main big ones that I knew I had to have for me in order to have anything with him was I had to forgive myself for the things that I had done. And then I would be able to allow him in. And when he did something, because if this isn't right, this is not right. I truly believe that. It's impossible to have a relationship. I truly believe there's no other way. You can't do it. It's not going to work. It's just
pause for the cause. Do it again because you made the cross. Do it again. This ain't right.
If this isn't right, if my relationship is not right with Christ, my relationship with others is not going to be right. You know what I mean? And I said all that to say, I also knew that Carlos was the one for me because So my discernment isn't the greatest, right? And I get it now. I didn't understand it then. But so I had this woman in my life who was my mentor, who taught me how to, God ultimately taught me, but she guided me through how to go back to being a woman. I'm gonna say that. Because again, I had so much anger with men, and I have to say that because a lot of the times I was giving him cases that had nothing to do with him.
I was getting a lot of
Going back to the forgiveness piece, he had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. It had to do with what was going on with me from baggage, luggage, unresolved issues, still not forgiving myself for, I may have forgiven myself for this, but I haven't forgiven myself for that. So that still would sit in the way. And how would it come out? I would be so disrespectful. And then, but you got to remember, culturally, I was raised up north.
Oh yeah,
he was raised in the South. So we come from culturally two different, not only age, but also where we environmentally, right? So, and I'm saying that to say that you talked about the respect. I'm looking at him. He's handsome. He's my man. He's my husband. But I still didn't know how to respect him as a man, let alone a man. I knew how to respect him as a man of God, but not my the one chosen for me, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I have learned to, through my mentor, to shut up, because a woman can tear it down. She can tear it down. She can tear this thing here. Ooh, is so, I'm telling you, I'm so serious. And I have learned when to shut my mouth, because and if I tell it to anybody, I tell it to God, or I have a couple girlfriends that I can vent to. And it's usually based on my perspective of what I feel like, because I want what I want when I want it. You know what I mean? And so if I had to get down to the gristle of it, that's really what it comes down to. And I don't, as far as like, sometimes I'm not even aware that I'm not respecting him. Culture. And just yesterday, day before yesterday, he had to say to me, you remember the last thing he said, we keep having this conversation. Like, why can't you and in my mind, because I'm not seeing me when I'm saying what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm firm, but it doesn't, because he's like, even my brother said, why can't you just say, okay, honey? Or, like, why do you have to, I think it's the delivery, and that's what he told me. He said, your delivery is whack, baby, and I can't take it. And he's been telling me this since day one.
Okay.
So,
but she's gotten a lot better, though.
Right.
A lot better.
Right.
Like, she's actually, like, I can see her physically doing this before she says something. You know what I mean? And then that's just, that warms my heart, because I know that what she was about to say, it won't be nice. You know what I mean? So for her to have the restraint to even have to physically hold herself and then go upstairs or go somewhere else just to get it out, you know what I mean? And, to take it back to her mentor, though, like, oh my, man, I used to, when I first met her, right, she would reserve responding to me until after she talked to her friend.
Because I didn't know how to respond.
Like, was she putting a battery in your back? No. Tell why you need to go over there to find out, like, what you gonna say to me. Like, no, what you gonna say? You know? And so at the end of the day, I respect that she would listen to. I didn't know the magnitude. You know what I mean? Like, because for real, like I said, I wasn't ready. She when she met me, her mentor gave her the game. Like, walked her through the whole, listen, you got to do this for the man. You got to do this for him. You know what I mean? You got to do all this when y'all go out, this, that, and the third. So she was like class A, And so when I started seeing a little, like little dents and things, and started to see things a little scratched up over here, I'm like, hold on. That don't supposed to look like that. You know what I mean? So then she started running back to the drawing board, and I'm seeing her on the phone. So I'm like, hold on. Am I dealing with a proxy right now? Like, who's stepping in? Like, because I was mad, because I want to know who I'm dealing with, And so when she came out and said, listen, I really have no experience, like in walking in this femininity, in this new life. So I be getting it wrong, and so I really, and she's, and you know, and her willingness to listen to other people and to implement that stuff in her own life, it made me respect her even more, because it's like, I know how hard change is. We talked about that before. Change ain't easy. You got to work on that every day, and so for her to do that, to be the woman that she know that I wanted her to be, it made me, you know, no matter what happens, like more easier to forgive, you know, because it's like, I know I don't have a perfect woman. I ain't no perfect man, you know. So I have to respect her imperfections. So I told her this before, like, yo, at first I really didn't like the multiple personality thing. Like, yo, I got to deal with a different chick every day. You know, seriously, can you give me consistency at least twice a week or something? You know, but like, now I can't live without like her different personalities. Like, yo, where's that other chick? Because like, you know, I'm bored. No, I'm not. But no, seriously, like, I think I began to love what I didn't like about her before, and that made me, you know, easy to forgive. You know, because it's like, she ain't got to be perfect for me. All she got to do is just be trying. You know, trying to do good by me and doing good in life. And hey, who am I to judge? You know, and that's what I look for. And I be thinking that like that's where a lot of people fall short. You know, because they're thinking for, okay, I see a picture in my mind, and if this person don't fit that picture, then you know she's not for me. But not realizing that like if you're expecting perfection, you're asking for a letdown every time. There's no such thing.
That's real.
So that's what makes it easy for me to forgive, you know,
Amen.
especially with my baby, because she wow, she off the chain, y'all. She is, but she is my heart. She mine. She's mine.
Amen. I love it. She's
Yes.
So, First Lady, tell us about Carlos.
Tell them about me, baby.
How? Forgiving him, or when you say tell us about Carlos?
Like, what is something where you had to work on and say, you know what? Let me give him some time to grow in our marriage as well.
It's plenty. It's plenty. Trust me, it's plenty.
It is. It is. Jesus. So I don't know. I'm all dreamy-eyed now because you just said all that stuff.
But
that I didn't
listen,
even
keep
know.
it above. She said be transparent. So
give me. You might have.
I can give you an example.
You might have to give me one now because I'm just in the class.
She feels like certain like. I don't think.
Oh no, I got it.
She got one.
I got it. It just came just that quick. It was just yesterday. So my husband likes to stay sharp. He likes to stay sharp.
Dressing?
No, not dressing. Stay sharp as in mentally, staying on his toes, being aware, you know, different things like that. We know there's a practical mind, there's the spiritual, we know all that. So if I had to say there was one thing that I really struggle with, not even necessarily struggle with forgiving, I guess I've grown to understand that that's who he is. And because I can allow him to be who he is, makes it easy for me to accept it, to forgive him. I said that to say he likes to stay sharp. Like he'll watch things because he likes to debate, and he'll say, "Oh no, it's just a heavy discussion." But I'm not into that. I don't like, because your perspective is your perspective. My perspective is my perspective, right? And so because my mind is I'm a woman. Women, we think differently than men do, right? So my mind is I'm always thinking about the Lord. And he's like, he can go practical, you know, he can watch the news and he can engage in most things and it doesn't affect him that way. If anything, he'll have an opinion about it and he'll say, honey, what do you think about this? Now, when he says it,
she already know I'm already on one side.
He's already on one. He's already taken a side.
So she's like,
And I'm
You
like,
set me up like
yeah. Just this morning, it was something. Was it this morning? Yeah.
it was a
He
little
wanted.
girl.
It was a little girl who was being taught how to put together a firearm by her dad, which she was probably, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10.
6.
Oh, she was younger than that. See, I didn't know. So
Blindfolded.
right, blindfolded. So she was able to, yeah, exactly. So as I'm listening to the video, and he listened to it previously, and he was like, "Honey, what do you think about this?" So I listened to it, and I said, "I don't think you want my opinion." Again, he's looking for a discussion. He wants me to engage him, and I don't like that. I don't like to do that. I don't like to.
Okay, hold on. Pause for the pause for the cause. So what I'm hearing is just basically passages want mental stimulation. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not really an argument, it's more debating. I think he will respect your decision because he said, "What do you think?" And you should come off and say, "Well, baby, this is what I think now because you asked me what I think." So if he comes to you and you feel like he's debating your choice of words or what you think about that situation, then you can bring it back to him and say, "No, no, no. You asked me what was my thought
Yeah.
on the topic of what I just heard." So you don't feel like you're being punched,
Right.
going back and forth in the battle, y'all in the ring, but it's just a mental, being mentally stimulated and also just seeing your thoughts because sometimes what you think of the topic he asked you about could give him some revelation as well. Because on my point of view, if a 6-year-old can't wash the dishes, if a 6-year-old can't drive a car, if a 6-year-old can't do something that an 18-year-old can do, they should not be dealing with firearms and stuff like that. But I'm a type of person, I try not to talk about politics as well. But I just look at this situation as just being mentally stimulated. He's just a person that mentally stimulated. You could be physically a person who wants to be stimulated physically, where he wants to be stimulated mentally. His notches because everybody had their own love language and stuff and stuff
That's
like that.
right.
And she's very
So,
sensual. She like them fluffy things, everything sparkly. Like she's very sensual. She likes her
yeah.
all the flavors of if it don't taste right, she's not gonna eat it. So
Yeah.
her senses has to be stimulated. So yes,
I'm gonna have to agree with that. Amen. That was,
So
yeah,
So just that's when it comes together where it's like, oh, well, he just want to be mentally stimulated. Ask me for my thoughts, not let me look at it where he want to do a little boxing match, in a debate situation. It's just, so he give you ease in that moment when, because of course if he coming at you, he already have his thought process. You just learning about the topic right now because he's bringing it to your attention, so that give you some ease, just give them some mentally stimulation, and then boom, he'll get gratified and then give you some physical.
Yes, let's go to the store.
Yes. Oh no. She loved the shop, yo. That's my thing.
But can I ask what's the age difference? Because you said it was
I just turned 50.
okay, look good.
I'm 44.
Thank you.
And I'm 44.
Oh, wow. So what's that?
She got me by about 6,
7 years.
Yeah.
7 years. That's not bad though. That's good.
We in the same ballpark. Sure, she's more of an 80s. She was coming up in the 80s. I came up in the 90s. So it's like, yeah. But not even come up. She came up in the 90s too, for real.
That was crazy.
She just don't remember the 90s.
Yeah, I don't.
Still stuck in
the How's the dynamic with that little age difference? And you say you was born in the 80s, one in the 90s. Like, let me give you an example. Music.
She likes 80 cult classics. Like, oh my God, all of that Madonna and all, you know what I mean? And I'll come up in Virginia and around that time. So we listen to, like, I'm sorry to say it, I'm a pastor now, but like, NWA and Ice Cube and like
the more ethnocentric type.
Yeah, so she was more like a Studio 54 Vogan, you know, and
Yeah.
so like that's just the difference. But like we love but R&B, gospel, we head on there. Like we finish
That's your semester.
we
Okay.
made for each other in that. So we meet there.
Amen.
You know, every morning we get up and we turn that music on. We get to harmonizing with each other. This is my praise and worship partner. Like we go to church. Oh my God, you should see us in church. I'm serious. I'm talking about we rocking too. We not sitting around like, nah, that's just not us.
Yeah.
So like as far as like that, we definitely, we match.
Yeah.
That's good to hear, because I kept hearing you say the age difference.
Yeah.
I was thinking 12, 15, because
well,
and they act like it sometimes though. Like she definitely act like it sometimes.
Maybe it is more of the North and South thing, because you know there was a time when and so the way children are raised in the North, yes ma'am, no ma'am, you know what I mean, versus in the South versus the way they're raised up North, it's more like, they'll call a parent by their first name, and not that that's okay. I mean, I wasn't raised that way. I was raised in ma'am, yes, no, yes, sir, but just different familial things that are different between him and I. Do you know what I mean? And I'm trying to, it's not easy. I'm trying to, because he has this, I don't want to say philosophy, but he has this belief like tribes. Like he believes in like the tribal, like the family, the,
extended family, like what we stick together,
coming together as a tribe.
Yeah,
if that makes sense to
you.
you.
It take a village to raise.
Right.
Like, I don't believe that just the mom and the dad should raise kids. Like, nah.
He believes
your uncles, aunties, everybody is involved in that child's development, growth, education, because there's some things that we can't give a child that someone else in our family can and should. Right. Like the elders. Like, I don't believe our elders should be in no old folks' homes or. When we able body, we got skills. We can feed them, take care of them, make sure that they are right, entertain them, give them, like the love that they deserve, and that's our responsibility. I believe that.
Yeah. So I don't know if I answered the question.
You answered the question, but let me ask you this. What was you guys' first prayer together?
Oh, wow.
Good one.
So
was it on the phone?
Yeah, it was.
We had a lot of good phone conversations.
Yeah, we fasted and we prayed together.
Did you guys ask God?
It was for something we were doing. Say it again.
No, I was asking, did you ask God for clarification if you are meant to be together?
Oh, well, yeah.
That was later on, though.
Yeah, that was later on. I already knew God, he is so intentional with me, because he has to be, because if he doesn't, I'm one of those people, I will go. Listen, I'm out, right? And not out either. If it's getting into something that I'm not sure of, I'm going to get into it. You know what I mean? But the minute something starts to happen, I'll say to him, like, listen, you got to show me. You got to do something, because I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. You know me. You know what I mean? I want to do what you want me to do, but I'm going to do this. If this ain't what you want me to do, I need you to be clear. Make it plain so that I understand. That's how I talk to him. It's true. So when I got the call from a total stranger that the man I was with was not who I was supposed to be with, that he was not my husband, because I was talking to him about that. Like, listen, at that time I was like 48. Like, if you're dating to marry, if you're just hanging out, what are the goals? What are we doing here? Because we're not gonna keep shacking and housing and depositing all these spirits in me and getting up and then I'm stuck. You know what I mean? We're not gonna do that. So what is our goal? Are we dating to marry, or what are we doing? I said all that to say that because that's pretty much what I said to him, right?
Yeah.
So when I got the call that the man I was with was not the man, but that there is one, because the man that I was having an affair with told me he was not my husband. He was the preview of what was to come.
And both of these were prophetic words. It's like the first person that said it was a prophet, and the person who told her that the person that she's with is not the man that she's supposed to be with was a prophet as well. So prophetess. Right? And so like when she got that word, she told me about it, you know, and I'm like, like I can tell you that ain't the dude, you know. But yeah, that was so.
Our first prayer, I want to say it was about just direction, about whether this was, I knew though. He didn't know, because he would have to tell you why he didn't know.
I gotta disagree. I think our first prayer, like we kind of, when we met, we were like, she really started helping me with a lot of the things, because I'm a founder and a CEO of a nonprofit now. And so when I was just coming home when I met her. I didn't know anything. She's been to college for grant writing. She really knows what she's doing when it comes to that. So, you know, I'm trying to pick her brain. Everything she got, we on the phone. And so I was trying to do something, and she was like, you got to pray on it. And she actually prayed for me. You don't remember?
I mean, we prayed a lot.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it was that you prayed. And I was like, yo, this woman just really... And I knew that it was going to come through. I in my heart, I knew that prayer was going to get answered. So it was like, you know, that was the first time, I'm pretty sure. I can remember, because I was in the kitchen on the phone. I just don't remember what we were praying for. But yeah, that was the first time I believe she prayed with me. And like, yeah.
And then the she was, that we worshiped.
Yeah.
That was prayer. That was...
She just wanted to add that one, right? But we actually did something I never did before. We naked went before God together in prayer, nothing sexual. It was all spiritual. It was like we didn't even have sex organs. Like we were just before God, you know, as children of God, and praying. We anointed each other with oil, and yeah, that was such a
that was intense.
Yeah.
I
didn't never think about doing nothing like that with anybody.
I've never heard that, so you got to give us more clarity. What dropped in your spirit to do that, and what was the revelation after that?
So when you look at worship, here's the thing. My husband used to say to me, come on, because I sing around the house sometimes, you know, and I like to do worship, private worship. And my husband said to me one day, girl, you always worship. When you and I going to worship together? And I was like, oh, we will. Now, mind you, in my private worship, I had a prayer closet. So I used to go in my closet, and that's the way I would worship. I would go in there and I would lay naked before the Lord, and I would talk. I would be in there for days, hours, and my kids would hear me, because mind you, there was a lot I was trying to get free from. So there was no other way for me to do it, right? So that was my way of getting clean, of getting, you know, delivered. So
when she didn't let nobody touch that, though. She used to lock me out and do that type of stuff. Like, you know, and I used to be like, I serve God too, the same God.
A spiritual bath. I think that's what they call it. Yeah. Yeah.
So when he asked me the one day, I said, one day we will. And I told him, I was like, listen, this is what we're going to do. Because every morning we get before the Lord. And so I said, you know, after you get out the shower, you know, come in the room. And I had the worship music on, and
Pause for the cause. What was your mind like, Carlos, when she said go take a bath, came back, everything seemed intimate, but what was your...
I was I was honored, right? Because like with her, she's like all or nothing. So she didn't play with like people with her God. Like, you know, like, I don't want you touching my God. Like, I love you, but like, this is how I stay sane, you know? So I don't want you, even you, in here with me. Like, you know, so I felt honored to be in that presence. Now, seeing her nude was different for me, because like I kept my eyes on the ground, you know, because it was like I don't want, to have any thoughts that's not pure, like, and not of God right at that moment. So I just was like, wow, I felt like this woman opened the door to heaven for me, and I just was going and being ushered in to be with my father, and that made me feel so good, because it was like, this is where we should be as people, and for her to do that is like, oh yeah, we where we need to be at, and for her to have the ability, because everybody can't summon God. Everybody can't. I don't feel God's presence when everybody is in that, in that spirit, in that spirit, in that realm, like that higher place, that upper room, like I go there. So when I'm there, I know that we're there, and so it's like when I came in the room, the atmosphere was already set. It was thick, it was like smoke in the room, and it was like a cloud. And so when I'm walking in there, it was like, I bet not do nothing, because God's here as well. And now I got to pay my part, and so, yeah, that was, yes, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
I had never experienced it.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's the only word I could say. It was beautiful,
What was the revelation after?
So, and which is what I was going to tell you.
Wow.
Worship. So husband and wife worship. Worship is just not about, it's a submission of oneself, right? The worship that I experienced with my husband was about because we weren't married yet. And we were, although we had been intimate beforehand, we said that we were not going to be intimate up until 90 days before we got married.
Yeah.
So we didn't do anything, you know what I mean? And so that, I felt kind of like that was a part of the worship of God, also God receiving it, because I also do know that worship is, and I don't like to say it like that, but it also can be seen, and I'm quoting, because it also can be seen as like, when the Lord receives your bed, your husband and wife, that's a form of worship for a husband and wife. I don't know if you knew that, but that is a form of worship. However, when I'm talking about the worship of my husband and I, it almost was like, yeah, we were going to go to the altar, but I needed to see him spiritually. Our spirits, and you know what? The confirmation of it came that night when we held each other and just cried.
Yeah.
When we said I do, there was nothing. When we did, when it was our time to consummate the marriage, it wasn't consummated like that. It was just, we just held each other. Do you remember that? It was so powerful.
Yes.
We just held each other and cried. Like, it was almost like I knew, like, I can't explain it. And when I can't explain it, I know it's God. So, but if that makes any sense to you.
Yes, that was, but the revelation, though.
Well, that I just shared with you my revelation.
That was a confirmation for me, like that night. But the revelation that I got, honestly, was what she said. The opening of because they say what doors God open, no man can close, and what doors God closed, no man can open. She didn't open a door spiritually, but she pulled back the veil. Does that make sense? And that's right only reserved for the priest, high priest. You understand what I'm saying? So I knew that the Lord received her as a high priestess, even though she didn't know. I told her that. I told her when she got dressed, I said, I see you in the spirit ministering to people. And this is before I was a pastor. I don't know if I told you last time, but I never wanted to be nobody's pastor, because honestly, I believe that, like, and this is going to be hard to say, the institution of church and the religiosity of what they do in those buildings I don't believe it has anything to do with the spirituality or connection with God. It's more for show, formalities, like tradition, and I'm not knocking all church, because I never forsake the assembling of the saints. So coming together as believers, like, is something that I would never forsake. I always do it, and we, lend the gifts that God has given us to each other. That way, through the laying on the hands and the praying for people. So that's something mandatory for all believers. However, I never wanted to have that part like on the stage and preaching and taking offerings and just a formality. I was raised in church. And I thought that most of the hypocritical people that I ever met was in church. The most hypocritical people I could ever meet. Because if you're playing with somebody's heart, their emotions, be real. Don't tamper with somebody and then leave and then do other things, because that you leaving that person high and dry and then messed up. Like, I know a lot of people that went to church and was seeking God and left empty and hurt. And then seeing them now while I'm doing community outreach, I tell them, like, listen, I'm in the church. They're no, don't come at me with that. Listen, because they've been hurt so bad, and that's why I'm so against it, because it was like, I don't want to be a part of that tradition of hurting people. I want to be a part of a new tradition, And so I started talking about church and almost lost what I was saying. But to be honest, I believe that what she showed me was that she wasn't church, but she was a minister, a real minister, bona fide. She can get that curtain open, and that's saying a lot.
That is a lot. I'm glad y'all shared your journey of marriage. What kind of advice will you give someone who are entering or want to enter a marriage?
Pray. I'm sorry. I'm so serious. There is, I listen, pray. Have them pray with you. Because I remember saying to Carlos, if you can't lead me in prayer, you can't lead me anywhere.
It's a fact.
Right?
She told me that.
And so, and that was the first time you prayed. That was the first time I heard him pray. Because I kept thinking, if this man, mind you, I just left the pastor, somebody who was a pastor of a church. So even though it was wrong what was going on, God he works all things for the good. I wouldn't have known some of the things that I knew, but when I heard him open up his mouth and pray, I knew he knew God. Based on, even though this man from the previous thing that I was in was wrong, the spirit, God's spirit was still there. You understand what I mean? And so, and I didn't even know it. Carlos's mother was the one that told me it's the God in him that you're attracted to. Because I didn't know that. I didn't realize that until after that was done with the pastor, and then I met him. That it's the God in them. You know what I mean? And I said to him, listen, if God hadn't dropped you back in there would have been no way, because my heart was hidden in God, because it was so broke. Do you understand what I'm saying? It was so broken by men that there was no way I could believe that there would be a man that God would allow me to have. Listen, I woke up even after a year later. I said, I'm really married to her. Do you remember I said that? I said, yes. I really got a husband. You understand? But I would have to say that prayer. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, because I didn't want to. I knew it was going to be bumpy. I knew it was going to be some challenges. Even still, it's some challenges. But I always say, God, you got to show me how to do this, because I don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? And I know that in my vulnerability and in my weakness, he raises me up to be a woman for this man here. For this one.
She said a piece that I wanted to pull that out of what she said, because to answer your question, I believe that any advice for people wanting to get married, hide yourself. Hide yourself. Yeah. Don't give yourself away. Don't expose yourself or don't advertise yourself. Hide yourself in God. Go and seek God and hide yourself in God. Tell God to cover you and don't let nobody touch you unless they go through him.
Hey.
because I had did the same thing before her. I told myself because my picker broke. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know. Picking women, like honestly, I didn't know how to pick a wife or a woman, like because like as a man, like we look for the wrong things. Like to this day, I still don't know what to find in a woman. I don't know how I found my wife. Really, like I believe like she found me or we found each other at a place, and that's the honest truth because like I told God, I'm like, yo, you do it, because I can't do it. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like so in order for me to get what I need, I got to go through him, and so I wasn't leaning on my own understanding, you know. So hide yourselves in God, man. Like don't even worry about finding somebody. Find God, and then He'll put the right person there.
Yeah, and just to add to that,
and if they don't talk about God or they don't come through God, then they can't get to you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine because I have to add to that. My mentor told me because when women that if we see somebody and they're attractive, we automatically think let's date. I want to go out with them. They're I hope they like me because I like them because the first attraction is physical, right? But my mentor said, why don't you just date without the intention? Date just as a friend. And that was something I did not know how to do because I had boundaries issues also. You know what I mean? So I really didn't know how to try to date as a friend, but not have any expectation of what I thought it should be, if that makes sense to you. Even though I liked him, because he's going to tell me, you so going over me. And now he told me that early on. So to me, that was like, you know what I mean? That turned me off.
She was going. She knew she was going.
I didn't know that.
How are you going to be dating a man right now? We was together for a couple of months now, and she going to come and bring me a wedding band talking about is a friendship ring. No, this is a wedding band. And, okay, so what finger you want me to put this on, bitch?
It was
she talking about your wedding finger. No, that's actually...
Yeah, he said that.
But I didn't immediately put it on. Like, to be honest, I don't never, like, not appreciate a gift. If it comes from the heart, she asked me if I would wear a ring if she bought it. I'm thinking she would give me a pinky ring or something. In my mind, I'm thinking like a ring though, but like, so I confident, so when she gave it to me, it was like, I already told her I was going to wear it. So I put it in the box. It was in a ring. So I put it to the side and it took me like 2 months to wear it. But then I started thinking about it. Like, if I'm really serious about this woman,
yeah,
and I'm not out here looking for nothing else, why do I have a problem if somebody thinks that I'm married? Like, what am I trying to say by not having it? Now, the thing is, I'm not married, so I would be giving a false impression to people, but why should I care what they think if I'm really serious? So that's when I put it on, because it was like, it's a challenge to me. So she kind of grew me into that situation. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah.
But I did not qualify.
She's a hard one. She's a hard one.
No, you tell her. I didn't qualify. And that's in all transparency. He told me that early on before we are here. Now we're here. But initially he told me I did not qualify.
That was the reason why we broke it off. I broke it off for her because honestly,
come on, bring it out now.
She had 7 kids, and her 2 like really no possibility of having children. I don't have any children, I've always wanted kids, always my whole life, I've been a mentor, big brother, big homie, but never a father, in my eyes, and so I was like, no, that's what I want. I spent over 20-something years in prison, that's probably why I didn't have any. But my point is, I told her, I don't want to lead you on. Like, that's really something that hell bent on me, And so the Spirit, man, God, he ministered to me one day and told me, he said, you already got kids. Because like I got, I've been a case manager, her best friend, the one that she was telling me her mentor gave me a job doing the work that I do now. So I had all of these young bulls, all of these men, grown men, calling me all types of night, asking for my advice, asking me for money, asking me for all the things that that a father or a big brother, would do or provide. And so I told her one day, I said, you know what? I think God is showing me that I don't have to uh, uh, make babies to have babies. I don't have to be a father to raise children. And even though He told me in the spirit that I would be a father, it may not be in biology. And so that's why I changed my mind when it came to her. And I knew that my life will be fulfilled regardless, as long as, we're filled with, the love that we have. And then not only that, man, God fills my life with the purpose that I know that I have.
Well, Pastor Carlos, First Lady Johnson, thank you guys. This has been very eye-opening. I'm so glad you guys was transparent. This I pray that this reach a lot, especially a lot of young people, because they don't know and they are so stuck in their own ways of being hurt. And they need to understand healing and start moving forward and allow God to structure their life. I thank you guys for just opening up. I see the glow, I see the love, even though it's 2 years. I can't wait to see 20 more years,
Amen.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
I am so grateful and just thank you guys. This helped me as well because I'm single and I'm not married. This helped me as well. So I am overjoyed as well just to listen and to take in what you were saying and to apply it to when I start, dating and the guy that God has for me. So I appreciate it. Trust me, I'm going to the little nuggets y'all drop really are helpful. So I thank you guys.
Amen. Thank you. God
Thank you.
bless
Thank you,
you.
man.
Amen.
Thank you guys. See you guys soon. And everybody, just please drop a comment, hit the like button, hit the share button, and we'll see you guys soon. Holla.
Thank you again. Thank you
Bye.
again.